and what we wanted to
fabulous.
focus on first. Yeah, that's where we left it, I think.
Yeah, so we were doing the vision work, weren't we? Yeah. And we were trying to do you guys an operational vision so you could get going on stuff. Yeah. And it's a process we can just reiterate. And, you do one part and then we can just do it again and the next part and the next part. So it's sort of like knocking things off your to-do list almost. Okay, so what else did we do then last time? What else is there? What were the learnings? What were your learnings from doing the vision stuff? Have you done any more project work on that, or have you been too busy with the other stuff? Because I know you guys were busy. That's why I was conscious last time if you wanted to leave it.
Yeah, we have not managed what we were supposed to do. I think I noted down we still need a mini business plan, don't we?
Yeah.
And we haven't had any time to work on that.
And that's okay, because that's just pulling together the stuff we've worked on, really. Yeah.
We haven't come around doing it.
And you had a bit as well, Christian, that you wanted to look at, I think it was product again, wasn't it? Was that right? You wanted to look at the...
Yeah. I mean, the different products and stuff that we could deliver, which is sort of giving us direction in terms of what we could be looking at as a group.
Yeah.
I think that would be, we kind of moved over that. We had a session on it, but we need to kind of, if we can crystallize that a little bit more, especially with the, with the light, or with the learnings we took away from
the
recent events, because a lot of things are happening and all of them require sort of and crystallize some of the products we are offering, if you like. I mean, Rick has been, contributing to the Sustainable ADA report that is coming out now, and we have been basically providing input there. We are providing, we are making movies or films. We are doing various things, so it's worthwhile having more of a look and just having some 3 or 4 things nailed down.
Yeah.
From our experience, from what we put together, and it would be useful that you help us with that, just purely, your dashboards better than we do.
Yeah.
and make sure we go on the right dashboard. But I think I know where we should be going. But just the stuff that we already did, if we can kind of just chew it over, and really sort of until it makes click, yeah, that's really something we want to do, or at least the people that are here know some key issues, key sort of products, and are liking them. And then we still have to go through the rest of the group, but we are currently struggling to reach out. I mean, we are at the end of the ISPO, Harry. Literally, the ISPO ended yesterday. No, on Friday, and we are now basically needing to reach everyone to do their final contributions and so forth, and we are struggling to get everyone back coming in and finding time to meet. People respond on email or on Discord occasionally, but it's really hard to find other meeting times at the moment, so everyone seems to be slightly overworked or busy with something else. So we are struggling with having enough time to communicate things other than in those Monday, Tuesday meetings we have. And it ends up to be the same people that are here right now.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just interrupt just for a sec? Is Boaz completely confused now? Rick and Christian, what are you talking about with your donations and your transaction hash? I did not share a transaction hash with Boaz.
Yeah, I thought I had a direct conversation with him, and he was still wondering where his donation went, or can we confirm we received it?
You're talking Boaz, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I was wrongly. I thought it was a direct message, and I was like, maybe what is he checking out? That's why I responded wrongly. So it just comes across a little bit odd in the chat here. I thought you can't see direct messages, and I thought you did. Yeah.
So the last thing we know is is Boaz, you're going to check with Genty, right, on whether he sent the donation and where he sent it.
I'll just delete my message now, so it's hopefully becoming more clear. Right, and the last message.
Sorry, guys. Just want to get back to Boaz.
Okay. Sorry, Harry. We really only need you, Harry, to just tell us now which amazing exponential impact project we should choose now to single-handedly change the world. No pressure. Yeah, give us all the answers, Harry. That's what we need.
Hey, we've got the answers here. Like you say, we just need to sort through it and
need to distill them.
And distill them down. And the exponential stuff these days. So you guys understand exponential. The issue is we've got about 10 different exponential man-made things going on, haven't we? And they're in the little presentation slides there somewhere. But basically, yeah, if we can get across 3, maybe 4 of those threads, like we said, so things like blockchain, crypto, if you want to go into that space, education is exponential, isn't it? Sustainability is exponential, or impact. So if we can get across 2 or 3 of those, 3 or 4 would be fabulous. That just increases that power of being in that field quite dramatically. And then how do you do it? I think the best thinking at the moment is you get yourself across a few of them, and a bit like a big organization, you find some runners and you start on those runners and you let the little projects run. That seems to be the serious answer to because it is a huge issue, isn't it? And I think that's what you guys have been doing. That's what I've done with you in the space of we've iterated, because like you said, Christian, the issue is as you go through and talk to more people, as things happen every month, week, you get more clarity. And so it's iterative there. And this is why in the past, when everything was a bit more linear, when I used to do this stuff, it wasn't so hard because you would sit down with your team, you'd fly around Europe and talk to everybody and whatever you had to do. And then you put a little plan in place and things would move over time. But once your plan was pretty much in place, then you had time and effort to change things around. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine who I've coached for many years in HSBC today. It's a UK bank, but it's global, but it's mainly known in the UK, I think, and over in Asia now. And that's what they're doing. They're using Agile, they're using this, they're using that. And basically, there's no time anymore, is there? There's no time to let things run out. You just have to do something. Because you can't do nothing. You have to do it, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, but the distilling works over time, clearly. But you need to have time with the people to talk it through. And then it becomes more obvious. And also, clearly, it's important for us that people take ownership. So you can't just, other people might have ideas, but if they're not in the room, it's going to be us who's going to distill it and say, if we like the ideas to take it forward, it's at the end us who are driving it. But what we really need is more people becoming active and joining us in that discussion. So that,
I think that's part of the bit we've got in there usually for that next phase. Is so how do you build the education? How do you build the product, which we'll call the education, and then how do you build the community?
Yeah,
because you've got to have a community, haven't you? It's a pull thing, and you're helping build platforms, and that was that other exponential thing that seems important now. So okay,
so we have a look at products then, or
if that's okay. What I was going to show you first, if I share the screen, we're not going to use this today, but I'm just so you know what I've been up to as well. So that's that screen, right? So as I say, you've got the link to it, but basically what I did
That's like Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, man.
I sat down and it's got a lot of stuff on it. What I used to have. So you see the one on the left-hand side, and I'm sorry, my screen's running slow as well because it's got stuff on. So you remember the one before where we got like the rows with all the things in, and then it ended up with a business plan. That was sort of version 2 of this, and that was okay. But really, and then every page you click on goes to another page. So on here, look, if you wanted to do it, if you click on this is your page, and this is your existing pages. Yeah. So again, if I go on here, and well, let's do it because we might go there in a bit. If I click on here, and I'm sorry about the colors, and then if you click on your product one, then that actually takes you back to your original product page that we did. So all your existing stuff's still there. I haven't deleted anything or anything. But again, that is quite fiddly to build all the links. And if you're trying to repeat it, it's quite time consuming to try and do it all. So that's your existing producty one, yeah.
Yeah.
With all the product info in. And so basically what I did then, guys, I recut it. And to try and make it simple, I put all that stuff on one big table.
Yeah.
But then the table is linked. So basically, if we get this one in the middle, this is the audit. Yeah. So this is those different layers. So the internal, this is exponential again, but the internal stuff, I've reframed it a little bit, but the internal stuff is the purpose. So that sort of sits above it all. So the purpose, the business model, the governance, the impact, that's at the core, but it's above the other things. And if you remember the internal systems, the effectiveness is income, capability, systems, and people. So these are the transactional stuff, that's your assets. And then round that again was the how you interact with your environment, so your market. So that's the products, customers, position, and ecosystem. And then around the outside is the system stuff, so the big picture. So that's all your PESTLE, your politics, economics. And this is the funding mechanisms, so the markets and investors. And this is all the relationship stuff, which is shareholders, stakeholders, all that stuff. And then the blue ones are the more meta ones. So this is that stuff around it. Starts over here, look. This is the overview in the audit. Then there's the journey. Stop it. And there's the journey. And then there's the vision. And then there's the plan. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. And then each one of the little arms is then the big version of that. So again, and it's all linked now, it will mess you about for a bit. But basically, if we want to go to purpose, then you just click on the purpose button and it's linked to purpose. And then if you want to, and those things around worth, and if you want to just look at purpose, then all of that stuff, this is your version. So all your stuff is in here. Wow. And I managed to unscrew, I think, whatever we managed to do to the purpose box before. Yeah. So like they should read properly now. Yeah. I'm not sure which headings are whose, but that's the purpose stuff. And then when you want to go back, then you just click on the backlink and then click on the backlink, and that'll take you back to the thing. So again, if we do products on here, look, then that'll take us to that ring that's got the external stuff. So products, customers, markets, and channels. And then we'll go and have a look at products. And again, this is your product page in here, look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we were looking at.
You did some decent work there, hey? Put that all together. That took you some time.
It's taken a long time, but you learn this stuff, don't you? It's not perfect. I'm sure it'll need iterating again, but I'm just trying to make it so that this is our initial go. And as you'll be able to see, there's an awful lot of stuff there that's not filled in, particularly because I haven't put the IP in. But if we look at the business plan, we were talking about that mini business plan, that's in here. And so this is just an overview. So this is an overview of the slides that you probably have in your mini business plan. Sorry, it's got a lag. And in there, it goes across. So all the stuff we talked about. So the audit review, the purpose, the business model and plan, and then down to the customer stuff. Now, the homework for you guys is if you can go and look. So that's, if you want to see an overview of the business plan, it's a smaller or larger version of that, depending on what you want to put in it. Generally, that would be the main plan. And then we put a load of the stuff would go in the appendices. And as you can see, most of those slides are black slides, which means they're just holding slides. They're the sort of intro slide. So the actual plan is half that size, really. Yeah. So that's what we're aiming to just fill in the bits you want to fill in. What it'd be useful for you guys to do is on here where we've got this is the products, the markets bit. Yeah. So the external view. What I've now done, so in here, look, so say customers, let's just do that properly.
Do you mind sharing the link to this, because that's a new
Yeah, I
page.
did. I put it in before. It's in the Discord.
Okay, sorry, it's in the Discord. Okay.
It's like the multiverse now.
It's a bit more like that. But the problem is this is like you deal with. This is a complex adaptive system. This is 3D really. But what I've done, look, the bigger oval is the slides where all the IP sits. The smaller oval, so that's this one, yeah. So say for customers, look, this is where all the slides with all the IP sit. So look, this presentation, you can unwrap it and that's what it looks like. I've left a couple for you. This presentation, this is an important one because this tells you about products, markets, and channels. So what would be great if you could do, there are 3 bits to this. One of them sits in product, the other sits in markets, and the other in channels, but basically explains this model. Yeah. And this is one, like we said before, that's the one with the wrong way around in it, of course. But anyway, here we go. This is the one that, here it is. Yeah. So this is just a very simple analysis of a market. And it says, okay, existing products, existing markets. And then if we want to, and this is why we're doing this now, because this is relevant for today. If you then want to look at, you've got your existing markets or existing customers, and you want to do new products, that will be a product extension, yeah, or a new product. That's one way of you guys getting your heads around what you're going to offer. The other way is to think, well, we'll keep the product the same, but we'll offer that same product to different markets. So this will be staking, for instance. You're staking in, like we said, you're staking inside Catalyst. You start offering it to stake with people who are outside Catalyst, outside Cardano, etc. And then if you want to do new product and new market, which we're not really covering, then that's a new business. Now, this stuff for you guys is really important because you already are a new business. Although you may not call it yet, you guys are financial services. So that's the sort of base of the model that we're working with. And then what we've done, we've split it into those different areas. So we've got customers.
I don't want to be financial services. I want to be environmental services.
Well, there you go. But yeah, this is the brilliance of it, because you are environmental services, but you're also financial services.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you may not like it, but that's how people are going to come after you. Well, they already are, aren't they, in America and stuff? That's why they've already said, well, you know, we should shut these staple things down, because the banks understand that you guys are in a very powerful position if decentralization and all that stuff happens. So anyway, that's what we're basing our stuff on. So if you guys can go through and look at these presentations that sit here in this bit that's called the library. And I've obviously missed one. I've tried to tag it for what bit it's in, because it gets quite confusing if you zoom in and out. But this is the customer library. Yeah. So all your customer stuff is in here. Now, look, this is what we're going to use. Yeah. It's this one, if you remember. This is what we were looking at. We were saying that's that same diagram that's been just down there. And it says, right, okay, what products have you got as existing products? Yeah, which is your stake pool. So that's your existing product. Come on. Fabulous, fabulous. So that's your existing product. So then the sort of stuff that we talked about and we've done with the others as well was, well, you could offer consultancy, couldn't you? You could offer.
Where does the ISPO, for example, fit?
Well, you tell me. This is the whole point. Where do you feel it fits? Because it's a product, but you see, it may well be the ISPO is a new business.
Yeah.
It's just levels of distinction. Yeah. We could just call it a product extension. But so that was the products, yeah, which we'll go to the product section in a sec, but I'm just showing you how it ties up. The other bit we said as well then was, right, okay. Right, okay. So this one was saying, right, okay, stake pool outwards, and this was customer inwards, yeah. So what does that mean? So that's the product going down in the column. The rows then are almost like the important bits are these grey bits, because they're like the walls, they're the levels of resistance. And that starts off with, okay, so you're offering a stake pool to guys inside Catalyst, yeah? So forget that first column, because that's the other column. That's the one where you're, that first column is you dealing with Cardano and offering them validation. So anyway, Catalyst stakers then, that's your first market, isn't it? Then you've got guys who are in Catalyst in the holding, but they're not staking. And then you've got all ADA stakers, and then all ADA holders, and then crypto stakers, crypto holders, and then investors, and yeah. And
jump over it. Sorry.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
So
yeah, I guess you come from the Catalyst side usually, and I think that's because you had workshops with Catalyst people, but we are, I would say our market is not Catalyst.
yeah, exactly. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
But you sort of start with the guys. The issue is here, isn't it? Is as you move away from this, if that was the onion, yeah. So let's just say that's like an onion. So rather than those being straight lines, it's little circles. Yeah. As you move out from the middle, then as you move towards, in this one, as you move towards the right, people know less about you, and they know less about Catalyst, and they know less about Cardano, and they don't care, basically. So as you move over to the right, they care less about you. And so it's more effort to engage them.
Yeah, it's like family, friends.
Exactly.
Friends of colleagues and so forth.
You nailed it. And that's what we said when we looked at, when we did this originally, and we did it with Sonada, Salmon Pool. And we went through this and said, so where do you want to start and stop? And that's where the guys went away and came back and said, well, actually, we're just going to stop with pretty much Catalyst. Because we work a lot with people in Catalyst. We help them lots. And then when they get funding or whatever, they stake with us. And we'll do family and friends and stuff, but we're not going to go out, outside of ADA, basically. And that was Nori's sort of, and the guy's view of it, which is perfectly logical, because they don't want it to be $1 billion, stake pool. They want it to support their main operations. And then that's where we said some of the other guys then, like Jonathan and a couple of the others, said, well, no, we're really into education. So we'd like to go out, like you've just said, Christian, we'd like to go out and find people who are, say, economically not disadvantaged, but people like grandparents and parents who don't know anything about this staking. They don't know anything about decentralization. So they're getting ripped off by the banks, and they'll carry on getting ripped off by the banks. Whereas if they were staking, they could get a decent amount of income that could help build their pension. So that's how they're thinking. And so for you guys, like we said about what's your vision, why are you bothering? That's where we tie the purpose, the ikigai, all that stuff back to, well, that's what you're doing it for. And then now the question is exactly what you said. Well, what's the best way of doing it then? So we don't need to stray very far from your version of this, because this is the products are down the way, the markets or the customers are across the way. The only thing we don't have in there, which this is usually morphological analysis, this goes into 3D. So this is like a slice of the cake. And then we probably put the channels across the top. Yeah.
The one thing that's missing here, I believe, is, I mean, we have had a section about products, which was much more where we spend a lot of time. I can't really see it here, but it basically said, I don't know, where we had the inputs and outputs.
Yeah. Now we did 2 of those. Yeah. So look, the simple version is there. That's the very simple version. I can't make it bigger. We've hit the, no, I can. Yeah, that's the simple version of input output, the little value chain and the little supply chain. And that's the one that gave us really when we did it first. That's the one that gave the different markets, because there's the markets, and then that's the markets laid out in detail. And this is the products. So what you're saying, Christian, was that what we did was, again, let me lift this screen up now and see what's going on. Right, okay. So look, if I go to customers, if I click back, it goes to the external market stuff. Then if I go to products, then we've got some of your product stuff is in there. Yeah. And this is where we looked at the value chain.
On the right, actually. Yeah, we had this.
And then the supply chain.
Yes.
Where it gets confusing for you guys is because all this maps up into the business model. So when we were doing it, so if I come back from products, yeah, and then I'm going to go back to the middle, I'm going to do it properly. And then I'm going to go to the business model, which is that one. Yeah. Then if I go and have a look at the business model, then the stuff we did, this was our simple version, wasn't it? Where in we've got your page with this on. We mapped out, didn't we, the products and the customers at each level. And then what we haven't done for you guys is to do it the other way around. So to start to say, right, where are you at the top and how do you flow, which is one of the things that'd be useful for us to do. But we did this one. The easiest way to do this is to actually just go back to your original page. So the business model stuff sits in there. Hang on a sec. And your purpose stuff we did here, look, here's all your purpose stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go and find the other one.
Yeah, well, at the moment, I'm in my memory is, and I don't know if you agree, Rick and Devin, is in the ecosystem part where we actually sat down, we have created.
That's it.
Product paid for products.
That's it.
Where we set inputs, add value, or what's the product, and then output and sell, where we actually thought this through, and where we had 4 things, and that's where I would like to just stick a little bit longer around. And once we have those 4 or maybe 5 or whatever key things there, then I would go to that customer page that you just showed under products, where you then look at how do you communicate that to the different audiences. But my product, that's the image, is under ecosystem here, if you guys can find that.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, this is our channel page. Yeah, this is the ecosystem page. This is the one we did. This is the original. And
yeah,
basically,
yeah, that's where we actually put down for the right one here, that we had 4 products, and we put inputs, output, add value, and sell and stuff like that in there. So that's how where we had a lot of discussion about what's the product itself, and
yeah.
You know,
so this is the right version for you, yeah.
Yeah, we got networking, the CNC brand as a product. We had the SPO donations sort of there as or whether we had a discussion whether or not the output is the product or whatever, but
Yeah.
What are the streams, you know, from input to output? What is it that we want to focus on as a group? And then we can look at what kind of customers / clients we want to work with.
And you're there now, Christian. If you're on the one on the updated one, it's there under ecosystem,
Yeah, you see my name there.
That's it. Yeah. So that all I've done there is I've copied across the one that was under channel. Yeah. I've copied that across onto the ecosystem bit. So we should be able to work on the ecosystem one. But can you see that what we did each time we've done it, look, this is that same product and customer one again.
Yeah, but before
it
we
all
actually
ties together,
if we have a column there, the same product, I think I'd like to have a bit more of a discussion of what that product is itself, the inputs and outputs, and how we create them.
Okay.
That's my thought anyway.
Yeah. So how does that work for you guys then? So we're on the ecosystem one. Shall I keep sharing or stop sharing? What works best?
Let me just join you. I think it's okay. If you keep sharing. Yeah.
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 Let me just see if I can make these.
We know where we are. But I mean, I have just said what I feel like. I'd like to discuss a little bit more, but maybe the others would like to have some input before we jump into it.
Yeah, no, so I do agree. It's nice we can always do the exercise again, but I do agree. Just to have a really good understanding of at least one or a couple of products.
Perfect. Let's carry on with this bit then. If that's good for you, it doesn't. The whole point was it doesn't matter where we do it. Now, when we did this, if you remember, it was easier for you guys to think it because we've been mapping out the map. Yeah. So I've been pushing you quite hard sometimes, to be fair, to go to the edge of the envelope. And when we did it through, so we did it through market, we did it through product, we did it through customers, and we did it through the channel. And when we did this one, like you said, Christian, my feeling was, and guys tell me, but my feeling was this was a powerful way for you to look at it. Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. If that's what you want to do, then we look at, so who buys your product and what do you sell? What value do you add? Let's do it on this deck. Yeah.
Bit more to see about what we have to put in, where are our strengths, where are we adding value, and then what is it that we are putting out, and that sort of defines for me a little bit more what the product is, rather than just saying, okay, we are having an ISPO, which doesn't really define any of that in general. So I'd like to break it down in that little sections. I don't know if people, particularly Devon here and so forth, Stephen, if you think, you know, those 4 products here that we talked about before, I mean, offering consultancy on the top, then basically the ISPO is number 2 here, where we are getting delegation. We are donating to projects, and we do the project management, and we pay out rewards and have an impact. And then in number 3, we are providing basically our expertise. We in order to create SIPs. I mean, clearly I don't know how we sell that, but it's certainly an important thing that we should propose some SIPs as a product of us. I mean, environmental improvements on the Cardano blockchain only go through SIPs. So we need to kind of, I think it should definitely be a product or something we should work on.
So that's kind of advocacy.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if we can market this, but we certainly should be, as Cardano, you know, ecosystem. If we want to make it greener, it's right in line that we make a number of proposals that help reduce the carbon footprint of Cardano.
Yeah, for sure.
Technology, etc. And then we have the last one is carbon accounting or other expertise was suggested, you know, because we have a catalyst, we have some catalyst funding, but obviously.
So do we have a name for these then? So have you got a name for number 3?
don't know what you call it. I mean, SIP. It's probably
Advocacy.
advocacy. Advocacy is a bit of a general term for me. I don't know quite what that means, but
Well, we're going out and we're trying to
adding value.
we're trying to lobby to make changes in the way things works.
yeah, sounds very
So
American.
is that different to education?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
I would say
education, I would
so.
say, is a big one for you guys, whether you call it a product or not. A big sort of value add that you do, or a big thing that you do as part of your product, is around education, isn't it? Because you're trying to and so this isn't advocacy. Advocacy to me is when, like you said, you're lobbying. So you're going, you know, that outside circle with the stakeholder and shareholders, and
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
it's just a SIP.
the
I mean, the
funders.
product here is really that we want to create the SIPs to change technically and put some input in a direction. For me, it's more direction rather than providing direction. And obviously, people can vote on it. But
Yeah,
It's technical improvement.
Yeah, we call it something like SIP advocacy for now, just so we can move on and get some stuff done. We can change the name whenever. And then what would this one be called?
that is basically a service, isn't it? It's more like carbon accounting. It's more like a service.
Yeah,
but
that's just carbon accounting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if we have that as a general service because it's just me doing it at the moment.
Because that's a whole product. That's carbon accounting is an industry in its own as well. So as a service, it's definitely something as a product and a service that can be offered if that is it, taken further.
We just can't deliver it at the moment because there's just not enough time and manpower.
And then then the other one that it's not necessarily a product, but what I got from you, from all of you guys, basically, and by that I mean all the SPO guys, there is something in there at some level about education.
Yeah,
and education then is, like you said, advocacy is education, isn't it? But there's education for SPOs as well that you got.
That's the part we need to put more on our website and help convert people through offering information and educating.
Yeah, I mean, we want to obviously educate pools and get them on our side. It's a slippery slope in terms of, do we just want to educate and then people make their own, I mean, obviously for people to make their own decisions, but we are quite, at least I feel we're quite on the strong side that we don't want to just educate. We want to, advocate, if you like, a direction for the environment. So that's a bit more, like you said, lobbying than it is actually pure education. At least for some of us here. I mean, education will always be a part because you will have to explain what you're doing, and we will do it in a more or less, scientific slash way without, so with proper facts rather than opinions. So I guess that makes it more educational.
I'm sorry, I just went to copy a couple of slides and now it's getting very bored.
Am I in the wrong universe there?
You are. You're in the right one. You're in the other one. You're in the other version of the universe. See, you are in the
I'm back.
So yeah, but education, I mean, again, like the video from John, for example, the documentary, is that education or is that advocacy?
Well, you see, I would say
it
depends on the audience.
That's PR.
Yeah, but PR is a channel. Yeah, you got to think of these things as what's the product and then what's the channel. PR is public relations. It's just a channel to your stakeholder groups and your shareholder groups again. Hopefully this thing will just get on with it by now, but I don't know. I'm sorry. It may just be because I've got too much stuff open. I don't know.
Too much Wi-Fi, yes, maybe.
Oh, it's a pain. Oh, I'm shutting more stuff down. Okay.
It works fine for me, to be honest. I mean, so maybe it's a connection issue.
Yeah. Right. Okay, let's try this again.
Well, and then there's also the potential for a new product that's not captured there. that is actually a product sort of creation of
tokens.
Wow.
software or token,
Yeah.
either would be leveraging the potential for scalability in the space. You know, it's a Pluto smart contract or it's a token, either would check that box. And that's a new product that could potentially better tap into the exponential
And again,
scaling.
this is why I'm saying, you know,
factor.
think of yourselves like an industry, whether you want to call it financial services or whatever, because this is all the other stuff that is now coming into view, isn't it? That you guys can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the non-linear stuff, isn't it?
Because we've proven we can launch a token and we have delegators to distribute them to. And if that product, either software or token or coin, if that really sold itself the way Sunday Swap did or some other thing and went viral, then it would accomplish so many things at once if it was cleverly designed. It would accomplish driving donation to the stake pools, the member pools. It would accomplish attraction of new pools, and it would accomplish theoretically the reduction of the footprint if it was doing the right things that it should.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
Stephen, go ahead.
What's the difference? So what's the difference between you guys and loads of shit coins then?
Greed.
Yeah.
Well,
we're having this discussion because you know I'm doing some work with with Curtis.
Yeah, we're selling a product and we're not hyping.
Yeah, well, it comes into how it's designed, doesn't it? I mean, from the very beginning, we have aspired to design something that isn't just a shitcoin, and we just stayed true to that, but we never really accomplished a compelling attraction for our token that was sufficiently compelling to drive that snowballing effect.
I get it. So come out of the content, because I'm being a bit harsh, but that's where you are. What is the opportunity you guys have?
I think sorry, Dylan, do you want
what's different about you guys?
Yeah.
From shitcoin, what's different about you guys?
The thing that I see from the stickies here is a bit of lack of actual products, maybe as Devin said it, to distinguish ourselves from, let's say, Cardano for Climate, for instance. I mean, Cardano for Climate can also share expertise and create awareness and maybe write a SIP or something. So we have to differentiate ourselves with perhaps an actual product instead of only doing awareness and education.
So let's try that again without being, because different ways of doing different stuff. Yeah. And Cardano for Climate, brilliant. What's different about stake pools? It's been the thread since the start. It usually is, but let's get this nailed. What's different about stake pools?
Well, for number one, we run the platform.
You run a real business. You run a platform for a software business. You run a real business. That's what's different about you guys. So that's when I was pushing you a bit and saying, well, what's the shit coin? Well, yours isn't, is it? You're not launching a coin to go out there, and so you're not a software platform like Cardano or Ethereum or anyone like that launches a coin because they can, because the coin is part of the utility of the platform. Yeah, you need the coin to make the platform, or you don't need it, but you have the coin to make the platform work. So it has a value of exchange. That's not what you're doing at that level. However, you're performing a real product, a real service for those guys. Now, that doesn't mean you should have a coin. But what's different about this page that we're on now, the channel page? What's different about the channel page? And this is what we did before. So it's worth, I'm just bringing you back to where you were before, because you had a really good level of understanding of it before. So let's go back. What's different about, because you are stake pool operators, you're running your business, and
credibility, because we actually process the transactions that run the network.
Exactly, but it's not that, is it?
It's not that, no, because we have a brand, we have built trust.
No, this isn't about you. The ecosystem one, the channel one, is not about you. It's about who can you use to get to your customers. Do you remember?
Mm.
It's the stepping stone to get you to your customer. That's what the channel is. Now, this is expanded into ecosystem, blah, blah, blah. So we've got different types of partners, but basically it's all about building your product, your market, or your channel. And this channel focus is the other thing that's brilliant about you guys, where it can't be a shit coin, like you said, Devin, I think, is because you're doing it for a channel where you will have proper impact. You're all focused on impact. Your channel is an impact channel, isn't it? The impact channel.
Yeah.
Correct.
So all those associations, whether it's birds, bananas, bumblebees, all of those guys that are focused on impact, you are focused on impact. And you just happen to be focused on impact in a technology which is going to change how things operate, and particularly how impact can operate, which is what Cardano's already done with we've gone out and gone into the future and pulled back a few $1 billion, and we're going to invest some of those few $1 billion in Africa, in climate. So that's what they've done. Your bit is, like you've said, you're upfront with the technology. You are running, you're the nuts and bolts of a network that is a digital network that's trustless and is decentralized.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all the things you guys have just got in your bag. You've got a channel to the end users that are all impact focused. So they're on your game already. And then you've just got, like you said, then your job then perhaps is to think about, how can you use this technology? How can you use all the applications that sit on the network? How can you use that stuff, NFTs and everything else? Do you remember when well, it's here, look, it's this one.
Well, so before
this is the answer, right? What do you guys have? This is, do you remember, this is the external view. This is their view, but this is an external view of how to build I'm going to say existential, an exo organization, and it's about community. Yeah, it's about partners, fans. It's about being decentralized. It's about running core services, agile, all that stuff. But look, and sorry to cut across you there, Devin, but it's about community. Well, you have the creds, don't you? You have a real product that's going to add real value in a real way. Because you're going to go, the other bit of your partners are other SPOs. So your job is to go to other SPOs and get them into a carbon neutral space. And that inherently then helps all of your channel partners who want to save bananas, birds, whatever it is.
Well, so I'm starting to think that, rather than reinventing the wheel and trying to create a climate coin ourselves, or trying to compete with carbon credits, the raw carbon credits, the answer here is to be the nexus between digitized carbon credit tokens in the blockchain space, which is an exploding space. It's trying to sort itself out right now. The nexus between the companies that are pouring billions of dollars into funding projects that are either producing carbon sequestration now, or even are not yet, and they're funding the future credits to try to jumpstart that process. There's billions of dollars there. And then people that are the delegators and stake pools and things like that. And you could roll all of this into one if we were just the nexus connecting. So we didn't have to manage any one of those things, but we connected. We were one big channel connecting all those different 4 branches.
But that's coming back to governance, which we had sort of as a...
Yeah, is it governance?
Not really. I don't see it as governance, no.
No, so it is governance, Christian, on a different level, and I'm being a bit prescriptive because of the time. But look, these are the 2 slides I pulled over for you from product. So what I recommend, if you can, go and look at the presentations that I've put into product, channel, customers, and market. They overlap, but they give you an idea. Look, this is what a product is. There's a physical product of some sort. Even in a service, there's a physical product. So let's do a tin of baked beans. Tin of baked beans, there's a tin of baked beans. Then the first thing you get is an 0800 number on the side. And sorry if I've told you this before. So when you find Fred's finger in your tin of baked beans, you have a number to ring up and say, hey guys, I've got some extra protein in my tin of baked beans. Can I have another one, please? Yeah. And outside that, you then get customer service, which is generally what happens when things go wrong. Yeah. So then the other lady then answers the phone, or the gent answers the phone and says, yeah, okay, well, so we've got the thing. So yeah, we've got warranty guarantee. We'll get you an extra 10 tins of baked beans out today. And that's generally a product. But if you think about it, even let's just assume we sell our baked beans directly. So on the website, then you order your baked beans. So someone rings up and goes, okay, yeah, I'd like to order 100 tins of baked beans. And I go, yeah, that's great. You can do that. And they say, but I've got a problem. I'm a chef in the army. And so I've got to make some, I can't just keep giving them baked beans every day. They've got to have some different menus for it. Can you help? And then that's the consultancy. If I say to you, or I put you through to someone who says, yeah, okay, actually, we've got 10 different recipes for army chefs and baked beans. That's consultancy. That's the advice you give people that you generally don't charge for. It's sort of wrapped up in the product. Now, I used to have teams of people who did this, who were on £250,000 a year. They would be consultants. And we could never charge for them because that's not the way it worked. But they would win the bids because they would build the network. The health service or the BBC or whoever, Barclays Bank or whatever, would say, yeah, I definitely need one of these data center things and lots of things that go with it, networks and things. Can you build one for me? Because I don't understand it. And we'd say, yeah. And so we'd write the tender for them, and then we'd put the tender in, and then we'd win the tender. So these consultants, the techie guys and the business guys, they got us the contract. But it was hidden consultancy. Now, what I'm saying to you guys is a lot of what you do now, in between all of the things you've talked about, so there's impact consultancy, isn't there? Yeah, and then split that down. There's the agri-tech impact consultancy, sustainability consultancy, carbon credits consultancy, blah, 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 blah. That's nice, but that's all about impact. The nexus you were talking about that you've already got is then you've got blockchain consultancy. You've got SPO consultancy, which is a neutral form of blockchain. Yeah, because at that level, you're not actually trying to sell crypto, are you? You're just making the network work. And so you've got, again, white hat advice. So you've got white hat, well, maybe it's grey hat impact advice. You've got white hat SPO advice. And then the build on top of that, all your crypto-y type stuff. So you've got white hat business advice or business model advice. Because we haven't done this bit yet, where you explain to me all the amazing business models that are going to happen because of all this stuff. So, yeah, the nexus, I totally get, and I think it's powerful because that's when you cross 2 or 3 different levels of creativity. When you have 2 or 3 different generators of innovation, it's very powerful. The bit I've got in there for you, Devon, and that is yeah, how much consultancy do you guys already give away? And like you said, Christian, could you sell that? Or could you at least get it people to value it? This is like round 2 for us. This is the next lot of stuff to get on with. But that for me is the important one.
Yeah.
Makes sense. No, I do agree, and I think just to add to Devon's idea about the nexus or that package is just to try and define or see how we can create some sort of funding, because it tied in with the initial idea of a token. We don't have to necessarily bin it completely, but if we let's say revamp that idea to a structure where it has some more appeal or some value or continued value, where it is worth holding the token. It's not a shit coin, but it's got way more worth. It's got utility because it provides other service, and it could tie into all these consultancy service and other things. It can become integral to the ecosystem, create funding value that could fund projects on a bigger scale. Because as we saw, although the ISPO was a really well put together and we've done a really good job with it, it was lacking some engagement, and we didn't quite get the funds that as quick as we wanted to. So if we can somehow rework that model so that it's robust and is sustainable and circular, I think that could lend itself well.
Yeah, a token needs. Sorry, go on.
The other reason is that I don't know if you guys had time to read through that article that I forwarded the link to, the Carbon Crypto Guide. I mean, when I started researching what was out there already in terms of climate coins, there are a ton of pretty established projects out there already. And it may be that we don't need to launch our own. We just need to partner with them and find the very best, most compelling ones, and partner with people that are funding similar projects, but legacy, not online, not on the blockchain yet, but want to be, and partner with, you know, the people in this space that are interested in impact staking, and just be the glue that brings all this together in just the right way that everybody benefits, and it's very compelling.
Totally, because that is sort of the easiest way, because then they would want to be on a blockchain. It's not on Cardano yet, and that's already a match made in heaven. You know, if they want to get on the blockchain, we're offering that scalability or that exponential to them, and we can rely on their expertise, and we can pick up some more from them by collaborating with them and forming a partnership.
Yeah. For me, again, I don't know if you talk to Curtis and the digital art guys much, but that's where we're doing the valuation stuff. So we're doing the tangible, intangible valuation with WADA, and we already do tangible valuation for commercial firms. But we're rolling a bit of that out with the digital art guys and what they're up to. And again, like you said, these days you just don't try and invent everything. If you were doing a corporate and you were trying to get on the backs of these exponential growth things, you find 2 or 3 and then you stick it all out, and you know this, you do the skunk work. So you have 10 projects and they're all running in different parts of the universe. It's a bit like if you ever did Asimov, it's a bit like foundation and second foundation and third and fourth and sixth and seventh and eighth foundation. You know, you just try them out in different places, and some of them will survive and thrive. A bit like a VC. It's a VC approach. I'm not saying it's nice, but that's sort of what you have to do because it all moves so fast. So that's
and the difference is, you know, look at what we did with the NFTs for this ISPO. We could have gone to all the work to make our own NFTs, but we didn't have to. We just partnered with the NFT producers. They got something out of it. We got something out of it. And, you know, we've got to leverage that kind of a partnership relationship method of going about things instead of having to build everything from the ground up.
And this is my 2 penneth worth, so I do apologize. But that's what we found when we were working with other bits of some of the catalyst organizations is that they just have this assumption that they have to build everything from scratch. And that's not how business works. You don't do that. You don't need to. You just pick what's working and then you transform it and you build on it and translate it. And you do some adaptive creativity where you build on it. And then you do some innovative creativity where you chuck it all away and start from scratch. But that's not the default. The default for me is, again, what's different is now, again, like the digital guys, digital art guys, because if you audit all of the value at the start, which is the bit we do, you can track all that value, can't you? You can track the value created by all the different partners. If you get your head around it, you can start to do that. So again, in the past, you just make these massive assumptions about a partnership and then split the revenue up in some weird way. Now you can actually find who's having value and who's most in demand. So you can manage those flows much tighter. So it's much, much faster again. So absolutely. Yeah. That's the bit. For me, what I see with you guys is you've got some real credibility in several areas. It's about tying it together and leveraging it. And like you guys said, the brilliance for you is finding out how to make that into products and how to make it into businesses. Now, I can add, again, my 2 pence on the sustainability bit, because I've got a couple of clients who are $500 million agribusinesses. And I tried in Catalyst a couple of times in one of them to get a soil sequestration program through. And basically it never got voted for and it never happened. But these guys want to do it. Now, what's happened in that pretty much a year since we kicked it off, and these are blockchain aware people, yeah, these are not people you have to convince. They've turned around and said, we can't be bothered with it because it's so new. It's like the Wild West. So there's all these programs out there for carbon credits, which you tie yourself into and they'll explode, but it'll be 10 years and your stuff's tied up for 10, 20, 30 years. And equally in the UK, at least, the governance now, the government's getting involved and it's setting tax, isn't it? Usually, but it's setting the regulations around this stuff. And it means that you need to go to the retailer, you need to go to Tesco's or Walmart or whatever and work back the carbon from there. And so basically they've just parked it. They've just said, well, it is interesting, but actually it's not worth worrying about for another 2 or 3 years till it's all died down a bit. Well, that's the stuff you guys understand. So that's where you can go to these clients and say, yep, here's our plan for you. Yeah, you're quite right. Park it for a year and then you need to worry about this, that, and that. Well, you've got a level of expertise that those big consultancies still don't have. I'm sure they're getting there, but they might have a use case for logistics. But particularly in your area of impact, they're not like you. They don't have your level of passion or understanding, and they can't get the people in the room either like you can. I hope that bit helped. That's my little, not a rant, but that was my little, what's obvious to me for you guys is you've got a massive amount of credibility. How do you put it together?
Yeah, and who do we speak to? Who do we engage? Where do we go? I mean, from just this graphic, obviously, that we have open there, we can see actually these are not potential products. These are sort of things that we're already doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of them. I mean, the reason to do this today, also in generally, to talk about is that, you know, what is it that we want to focus on? Because we have some credibility now, and in order to keep on being credible, you want to deliver something, whether or not it makes, you know, it delivers on all the financial arms, because we might run ISPOs, we might support the you know, certain charities, and we do that efficiently without attracting additional easy funding or stake, whatever. But if we on the side, you know, have that, offer that consultancy, or we are putting our name to certain carbon coins or climate coins or whatever that are existing and so forth, and do some research on them and basically provide that trust, or, you know, to the community to help them, then we can win stake coming to us, you know, by lending that credibility to more projects and so forth. So that's an option there, but we don't necessarily maybe have to focus on all of those things. But I do think we have to, keep on deliver something which we can build on, and where we actually gain the experience that you can then also share. Obviously, because we don't have to know everything, as you said. The token was always just an obvious one that there may be other tokens out there, but like Devin, you told me as well, just looking at Ministry of the Future, it's not about that nobody knows how to create a token. It's about going out there and bringing everyone, for example, to get together to put some money towards a token. If, for example, we want to use the token to finance environmental projects, in the long run. So you need to get buy-in from the banks or from big donors or something like that, that believe in the project, for example.
Let me run an idea by you guys. Okay, think about this. What if you go to a company or a consortium of companies and you pitch this? You say, look, you want to offset your footprint, but currently you're spending those dollars to just buy offset tokens, or you're funding the startup for potential carbon credits. But what if you could earn 5% on the money that you want to spend to offset your footprint? And so you get this pot of money, let's say it's, $5 million. And then that is not coming to us, but we're going to show them how to buy ADA with it and delegate that ADA to our pools. And we have more money needing to be delegated than our pools can fit. So then we say, hey, we need more pools over here because we've got stake that's only going to be dedicated to CNC pools, and we don't have enough pools. We would have no problem at all getting pools. They'd be lining up. So we could still fund offsetting projects like Teddy Casa Ala from the SPOs, and we could offer something that these companies that want to offset are not getting now, which is a percentage return on their offset capital. I mean, it's a win-win-win 3 ways.
I like the Skunkwork project. Definitely worth exploring.
What's that project again? Can you
Skunkworks.
That's just a word to me. It doesn't mean anything.
So it was the term that Lockheed Martin, when they were developing the jet engine, and I'll get all the details wrong, but it doesn't matter. So basically, Lockheed Martin were developing the jet engine, and let's just say they're old businesses using propellers, and then these guys say, no, we use a jet engine. What do you think the guys with again $100 million worth of propeller business are going to do to the jet engine people who are in their 20s? Obviously, they shut them down. So what they had to do this thing called a skunk works, like the smelly skunk that you keep out in the garden. And basically that's what it was. They gave them some money, they gave them a separate factory, they kept them away from the main business, and they let them develop their product, like innovation, like a venture capitalist type thing. And then at a certain level, then they can bring it back into the business or not. They might have to take it out separately. And that's the skunk work sort of idea, is it's not your main thing. You don't suddenly pivot to it being your main thing, but you just get it up to beta, and you get it out as a real product in a market, and you see if it flies. And for me, all of those things you guys have been doing, you've been learning how to do, because I'm doing the same thing, and the guys I work with, we're doing the same things. We're learning how to understand an SPO. We're learning about minting coins. We're learning, about minting NFTs. We're learning about launching coins. We're learning about DAOs. We're learning about this. And of course, these days, how you do it is by doing it, isn't it? You don't do the theory, you do an ISPO. Because how many people have actually done an ISPO? Is it a couple of thousand? I don't know. It's not a huge amount, not a proper ISPO, is it?
No.
So you guys are right at the front of what you're doing. So all that stuff you're doing is all very valuable business knowledge you're learning and keeping yourself at the front end. However, as you said, every now and again now you need to pull back and then come up with a real product out of it, a real skunkworks thing you can take to the next level. Yeah,
So-
I liked it. I'm talking a bit tonight, but I think we're in a bit of that space. I liked what you were saying. It's the same as I thought about with these guys that I deal with G's and Greens and that. There are firms I know that are global, so they run a treasury, and they cost them a lot of money to run a treasury, and obviously using banking and everything, it costs them a lot of money to transfer money. And so that idea, like you were saying, if you can go to them and say, don't worry about it, we'll take some of that pain away, and you'll get your impact stuff out of it, because they are businesses that are more and more seen. They're in regenerative agriculture, they're doing biodiversity, blah, 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 blah. They're more and more seen in that space. If you then offer them a way of getting into proper impact and getting a return on it, that they might then reinvest back in impact, because the guys I'm dealing with, they've got operations in Senegal and Spain and all over the place. So having that power and taking the pain away is the main thing. Taking the pain away from them. I can see, I have thought about it, and how could we get them in a space where they'd be happy to invest in staking? And I think the connection you made there is a very good one, because if they're in impact, if they're in sustainability, they're already on the page, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's a win-win-win.
So
Yeah.
building further on that, do they need to earn, let's say, actual governmental recognized carbon credits by staking to us? So by staking to us, they actually also not only earn impact by the donations that we give, but also earn a digital version of a carbon credit that they can then take into their accounting and use in their ESG reporting and things like that.
Well, so there's two ways you could go. I mean, one is, if that's needed, you can get that through, partnering with Block Carbon, for example, the folks that are doing that, they're tokenizing carbon credits. But the other thing is that, you could get companies that actually don't want to spend money on offsetting, but they could do it without any cost to them by just taking some of their capital, buying ADA with it, staking it with us. They get a return, we get the stake, we do the donations, and they get the feel-good factor and the PR to be able to say, hey, we are funding this and that, but they're actually not funding it. They're just getting a return, but they're enabling us to fund it. And then we don't even have to promote the project, do all the work of Teddy Casala, CNC Ala. We can just take our donations and give them to Moss or Toucan or whoever. Moss is doing this huge thing where they're building a green wall on the southern edge of the Amazon jungle to try and block all the deforestation there. It's all online. It's all, there's so much out there now. If you guys read through that article and some others like it, there's a ton of projects, ways out there that we could donate without having to actually prosecute the project on our own, with all the nuts and bolts and time burn that we've had doing our own project.
Yeah, I think that would be better. I don't think we have to get away from offering even more than we already offer. We are basically doing things for free, right? We need the stake, yes, but what we are doing is we are providing the platform that maybe allows for focusing on certain projects. And obviously, if there is a large donor, or not a donor, but actually someone who wants to invest, who just wants to earn, who's happy with 3% or a return. Of course, there is a risk in it, because ADA is not like, a dollar currency and so forth. So they need to probably only take small parts of their investments, but they have the chance to say, okay, we are supporting this blockchain project, and they and the blockchain community specifically or selectively every half a year, they are supporting an environmental project. They are focusing, Climate Neutral Cardano focuses on, climate-related projects. And we have we have kind of invested, is that the right way? We are saving our money with that group, and at the same time enabling them to do more good. And if we are choosing, like you said, the right charity, if we don't you know, like we do at the moment with Tete Casa Ala, we are building completely new charities, but there are charities out there who have already, you know, gotten complete setups, and we might want to decide on whether or not, or we have two different ways. We support the little charities, and we support big charities that give us reports back that they can use, you know. So basically, that people that are staking to us will get our reports for our donations, if you like. We donate, and they will have to accept, I suppose, with the new you know, voting system. As you know, everyone, Cardano Foundation and IOG is just changing the reward system, and we are supposed to vote on it as well. But you know, we will have to, you know, maybe ask those corporations to say, okay, do I want 4% return, or do I want 3% return? Because we still we need to ensure that we can continue to donate 30% of our income, even as a small pool, to those charitable projects, right? Which is currently happening because we have a 340 ADA minimum fee, but that might change very soon, and then our donations will be difficult to make, right? So
the thing that is so unique and compelling about what you can offer to such an entity is that there's not really any other blockchain. I mean, already massive amounts of capital are invested by institutions into staked blockchain assets. And really, Cardano is the only one, this is unique, where you can stake it and still have custody of it. It's unique. There's not another one, not Ethereum, not, there's no other blockchain that can offer that. There's no way to have custody of your own funds and still get that return.
Yeah, so there's no default risk for the company, actually.
Right. I mean, there's just the volatility of the token itself, but there are cogent arguments to address that. If you go say, look at the 5-year history, ADA's gone from, you know, a 1/200th of a penny to 36 cents. Well, yes, there's volatility because it's a new asset, but so was there volatility to gold. If you go back 2,000 years, it was massive volatility. It's just that it's a new asset, but over time it
also, I mean,
every other asset.
If you look at the possibility of the price of ADA dropping and losing funds like that, if these companies have to develop their own system of carbon credits and use their resources to do that, let's say they spend $100,000 a year for personnel and resources to make up a system of carbon credits for them. If they just invest that $100,000 with us, money that usually is lost anyway to them, then there's basically only upside, because they were planning on spending $100,000 a year anyway, losing that completely.
Or
so
just buying
if
credits
they
with it.
stake that with us, then they only have upside, because they get a return on that 100,000, and they keep their assets and they won't lose it. Let's say if ADA drops by half, then they still have 50,000 left. And
most companies are just buying carbon credits, so the money's gone anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's even the volatility of ADA is not a problem if they invest what they were, you know, planning to spend on carbon credits anyway.
But that sounds like we are far away from we are far away from a carbon token or something. It sounds more like we are in the middle of managing the companies who wants to sell something like that certificate, and the organizations or companies who need to buy something like this, and we don't need really a token for it. The ISPO with stake pools, they could be just the transparency the tool for us. I don't know. It's, if I'm not mistaking it.
The thing
It's
we need to-
perfect because we don't need to do all those. We just partner.
Yeah, like I had a discussion a few days ago with my company Empower, right? And now they are really decent and slow with things in the background because they're focusing on building eco houses with climate standard, blah blah blah, with all the standards. And but so I said, like, we could actually give carbon credits, certificates, or whatever, because our houses are in different kind of cements. We're using timber wood and stuff like this, blah blah blah. We're not taking it from other countries, so we're saving quite a lot. But I said, is there a way where we can utilize that? And on the other end, we are now soon we will start to build 25,000 houses, and that 25,000 houses are in the middle of a city where it's a stump. That means actually the mayor and the government will flattening that sump. So on their own, actually, that means like Empower have to find a way to solve that problem, because we're killing the nature for 25,000 houses to build the houses, right? Even if the houses are an eco standard house, it's still difficult. I don't know. I'm just seeing, as someone who has not much experience like you guys.
Sake, honestly, guys, we could just, rather than, you know, if we are continuing with our donation model, we are just saying, people, you stake to us, you get a 3% ADA return, and we take our we take 30% of our income or whatever it is, we buy carbon credits and we send them back to you. So you're not just earning. So we're actually then choosing the projects where we get the carbon credits from, wherever that is from, you know.
That's true.
Credits and we send them back to our stakers.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and then they are, it's just a win-win-win for them. And well, we obviously give 20% of our income away, but you know, hopefully that is something that anybody else can copy. But the key thing for us is, I think, it's a trust. And I think what is difficult, people investing money when they're putting money down, is like, you have to stand there, you have to be there, you have to, we are not a centralized entity, we are, you know, a group of people. We will have to explain Cardano, obviously, to a degree, but we also have to stand there and say, look, what we are standing for, and how do we secure that whatever we are doing, what we are telling we are doing, is sort of really happening. And other than, obviously, we have proof now that we have done it once, so that's a good starting point. But do we actually have, how do we make that secure? If we wanted to go down that route, like, let's say, you know, if we want to attract sponsors, if you like, or whatever, clients that put money into Cardano and at the same time get something back from us, they just want to make sure that they are not giving to the wrong people, you know, and that they are actually having some documentation that proves this has gone to the right place, and you know, and either getting a token back, or if they get carbon credits back, for example, that we have paid for with our donations, then, you know, it's a simple proof of that they are, you know,
getting.
The
token is still the proof, I guess, right? Even if it's not like token to, I don't know.
So Christian, you're saying there's two potential possibilities. One is you go to a company and you're not asking for them to give you money, you're just offering them an investment opportunity, and by doing so, it funds the offsetting projects that we partner with. The second one is that you go actually try and get the funds that they would be buying offsetting credits with, and instead you have them fund our delegation, and we give them credits as well, so they don't have to spend the money, but they still get something.
Yeah, they earn money at the same. I mean, they obviously lose, there's a 30% gap in there, but instead of getting only carbon credits for it, they will get an ADA return, plus, you know, 30% of our income will go and get them carbon credit.
So instead of donating to projects, we're donating credits back to the stake, the people that are giving the funds to stake with us. See, the beauty of all of this is that one of our first and foremost goals was how to try and convert more. There's 3,000 stake pools out there. How to convert those to run on renewables? Well, and we're thinking about it sort of backwards. If we get the stake first, then and we're saying, hey, we have all this stake, but we don't have enough pools. Pools will come to us, and all they have to do is run on renewables. And that's pretty easy. We've proven that's pretty easy to do because all of us have done it.
Yeah, I guess we just need a couple of million that people want to invest and try it out, if you like, because you really want to have a go.
Absolutely.
For half a year, and you want to deliver, send something back, and so that you get the word of mouth again at the end, you know, that you kind of need in order to attract more investors. That's an option, absolutely. And you know, we could do that if we find a good source of carbon credits that we like. We have done a bit of research on this, for example, but obviously small sources at the moment. And obviously for companies, carbon credits, it's all about quality carbon credits. And you know, so we know where to get them from. So that would be an option to offer to charities and so forth, but also maybe the other arm would always, I do strongly feel that in order to build the brand, we want to work with the charities we're supporting, or we want to work with those projects, or we need to ask our customers or clients that people want to maybe invest into our pools, is what do they want back from us in order to, you know, invest into it. I mean, is it just carbon credits, or do they want to see the impact down on the ground? And also for us, I mean, remember our personal driver for the whole thing. My personal driver here is I want to see impact. I'm not quite sure if I want to just be a carbon credit trader. I mean, it's just it's a simplicity, it's an idea that we can deal with, and I think it's something we should develop over time. But I do feel strongly that I love that kind of Titicaca Ala project, but just because I can see the impact directly, and I don't just want to be a financial trader personally. So
right. We could offer a portfolio of different places that our donations go to, such as Moss, for example, or BCT if somebody really wants a carbon credit back. And you know, you have 6 or 8 projects that have been well audited and vetted, and that's in your portfolio. And this is what they do, by the way. You know, I was researching the trees that are genetically engineered to sequester 27% more carbon than non-genetically engineered trees, and they have partnered with a company who has a consortium of funders who they've put a total of $300 million in a pot. These funders are spending money on carbon offset projects, and they have a consortium of offsetting project people that do the projects, and they vet them, and they just connect the two. They're the middleman, they're the nexus. We could do the exact same thing.
And we can basically customize per client as well. Some clients might only want 100% carbon credits back. Some might want to split 50-50 in carbon credits and half into impact into projects like the Titicaca Ala. So we can offer a range of possibilities and what our clients like.
Thing. At the moment we're in the beginning, so we need to start with one thing that we can actually work out properly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The difference of ours is that all of our offsetting projects are on chain. They're already on chain. That's the difference.
Sorry, what is it with on chain now? So what's the difference?
The difference between the model I mentioned and us is our nexus is that all of our products in our portfolio are already on chain. They're already blockchain based.
Sorry,
you know, for example, if they want credits, we offer them BCT, which is one carbon credit, tokenized carbon credits on the blockchain already. If they want a Amazon project, we can offer them shares in Moss. You know, there's so many projects now that are already on the blockchain. They've already been tokenized. They're easy for us to move around or offer, and we don't actually have to hold anything. We don't hold the dollars by the sponsor. They hold their own dollars, and we don't have to hold anything, build the project ourselves. We just have this portfolio of where we send our donations.
Yeah, and then some sort of smart contract where basically the stakers automatically receive the token, so we don't get involved in some sort of tax issues.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's a good discussion. I mean, that's what we need to have about, you know, obviously someone always drives it. Good ideas are always sticking out. So we have, and Harry is moving things around. So we have a couple of options here. I think these are our, you know, quite a good ideas that we have there. And maybe we should call this, we should add those that we just discussed at the end, whatever we want to call this. Consultancies / whatever model that we are
Blockchain based
carbon credit sort of
green
trade
nexus. Yeah.
Yeah. So the difference here, and so that's been brilliant, guys. Yeah, and we've got some movement, which I'm really happy with. Again, we then need to make it small, so we don't have 15 different directions to go running off in, and we can start to allocate some projects or some, you know, some ideas to people to flesh out. What was different about the last ones we got to were, as we'd said a few weeks ago now, but again, we got to the stage of it's a new product in a new market. So that's a new business. It's a bit like SPOs or a new business. This is a new product in a new market. So this is a new business. And that's nice, but it's also risky because it means you're sort of moving out of the product you had, which you're comfortable with, which is one degree of freedom you've gone out.
Well, it's not entirely new because we have always donated from our pools to various different entities. It's just that we all did it individually. We never agreed upon a pool of entities that we cumulatively donated to.
Yeah. So the mechanism's there, the understanding mechanism, but because you're doing it with carbon credits, then that's in a different space, isn't it? That's what makes it a new business. And I'm not saying new business is bad. It's just we have to be doubly careful then because you're sort of taking 2 steps out each way.
It doesn't have to be with carbon credits. These could just be green sequestration projects that we donate our aid to.
Yeah. But we have a trajectory, don't we? Yeah.
Which it certainly uses the SPO factor.
Sorry, Christian.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I was thinking. I mean, we're clearly still SPOs. We are probably quite keen on continuously using our donations. I mean, or keep on donating. We just have to make sure, obviously, we get the stake in, and then we just want to make that circular argument in a better way. I.e., look at. I mean, I guess we got hung up a little bit on those very wealthy people right now that have money lying around, which there are probably some. And we could, and obviously, if we want to target them, then we would have to figure out how we target them, which is different proposal from, you know, just general audiences and so on. And obviously, we have to do that based on our channels, and you know that's what we could do. And you know, we can just ask Harry and say, so those 500 million, are they still available? And you know, and he might point us in the right direction. But yeah, so I think that's what we need to think.
That's a serious point. See, that's a serious point about a market. Is we can have those conversations. That's the stuff. Again, I've been trying to do it in different spaces, but there's HSBC guys there that have an agriculture. That's who I work with, is guys who run their regional and national agriculture division.
But I would argue that this model, this model could be started small, and doesn't have to start out by trying to go reach into big corporate pockets. We could build our portfolio of where we as an org donate to and pick 6 really good, already on chain, already tokenized, vetted projects, and say, okay, we as CNC pools, after CNC Ala, these are where our donations are going to flow. And then we could look at one actual carbon credit like BCT or Toucan or something, and we have one of those in there as well. Find out if that's transferable. Find out if we get donors, stakers who do want that, can we buy them with our donations and send it to them? I mean, that's a small scale way to start the ball rolling, lay the groundwork and try it out just with private stakers before we go off. And once that's successful and in place, then we can go start trying to pitch it to bigger clients that are corporate clients.
Fabulous. Or even mid-tiers or whatever. Fabulous.
Well, you could even, I mean, if you have 3 projects rather than 6, because we're not that many pools, for example, or we start out with 6, we have the option and see, we put 6 projects out there on our website and say like, oh, look, we are donating to all of these. You with your stake, you vote on which of these projects you like best, and and then we can actually automatically say, well, some projects won't get any buy-in, and so we can redelegate our donation, or we can move our donations to the projects that attract stake. And that, for the start, to get some winning projects, and say like, okay, this is what customers want, at least the ones that we target initially, and we don't have to sit with a project that we don't get easy traction initially with our marketing or whatever.
Well, and you can, I mean, we've been doing this already, each of us individually. Bio's been doing it, Gaia's been doing it. We've already identified a year ago, 2 years ago, each of us had our favorite little selection of projects. One of mine was Eden Reforestation Projects. They are a tree planting org. They're completely vetted and audited and very transparent. And you don't have to be donating any minimum or maximum amount. I mean, we could donate nothing to that org 1 month, and we could donate more the next month based on, and we could use CNC token for the governance.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about there.
So,
yeah.
Sorry, Christian. I was just going to say, so we're not doing 10 out of 10 feedback tonight. Hardcore. We're doing a bit more fluffy bunny, so I'll approach this differently. So you've been lying to me for the last 10 weeks, or however long we've been doing this now. What is it you guys actually do? What business are you in?
Well,
what do you actually do?
We all are standing with our head in the sand saying we're not going to be financial services regardless of what anybody says, but we probably are.
Well, you just described what is it, Kathy Wood?
Ark Invest?
Ark Invest, yeah.
That's described Ark Invest. That's what she does. She's an innovation-led investment consultant or investor, fund manager. And you're an impact investment fund manager, consultant.
Yeah. I think that's where we could make the most impact. Honestly, you gotta get a model that doesn't require ever increasing workload for us, and that has a sells itself type of attraction to it.
Yeah, it's codifying. It's what I sort of do, but I'm like you guys most of the time. I give my stuff away because I get a massive benefit from seeing. I get a massive pride and benefit by seeing the people I work with really do well. Yeah, particularly when they're in impact space or whatever. The payback on that is massive. It doesn't pay a lot of money, but it's massive. And I could have earned a lot more money being more of a financial consultant, basically, and doing it for more bucks. However, this is how things are. You can do a bit of both now. And you can be financially independent. And why not be in charge of a fund that's worth 100 million? Why shouldn't you guys be in charge of a fund that has generated $100 million, and then you can get more 100 millions where you get to decide where it gets invested? Because who's better than you?
The beauty of this is that basically we're not in charge of it. The funders can pull out anytime they want. They still hold their money. We don't hold their money.
No, but you're in charge of it because you're in charge of where to invest.
We're just building the portfolio that they can choose from.
We only have to be more careful about, we're saying we are bringing our donations in line with what people that are staking with us, you know, are interested in, or we find some common ground, if you like. So that's basically the only difference. But we don't see their money directly, and we are still in charge of our donations. You know, I mean, we still have to obviously make the choice to donate that money and to the right charity, and that there's no direct connection really, and they will get their return, and they potentially will get some, you know, credits or something.
The SBO gives you the ability to build the engine that builds the fund, isn't it?
Exactly.
And then you get your extra expertise from you guys on where to invest the fund.
Yes,
and a bit like you said, it's all on chain, so it's all measurable. And although people won't understand it, like you've said, you're not actually managing, you've not taken their money anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it will not be a lot. I mean, that's the one thing that we have learned before. It's like the money you invest compared to what you actually then donate, you know, is quite small. You know, considering it's a small amount, but you're basically funding a bunch of people that hopefully, I mean, you trust in, or you think they do the right thing with it, and they're, because at the same time you're accumulating ADA and whatever tokens you're getting, which will be an investment in the future. So that's a slightly different model than just, you know, you want full bang for your buck. It's actually a potential return, and you make a little impact. You won't be able to go out and say, well, I'm staking with those guys and it makes massive impact right now, because that's not quite true. You are basically getting the cheap way out, if you like. I mean, you're making an investment. It's not really giving your money away for good. It's like an investment that also does good. You're supporting our community by, you know,
but that's the win-win-win, Christian, at the moment.
So, and the other thing is that's been growing exponentially in mutual funds. The green funds have been, for the last 10 years, not only have they been growing, especially among young people, but they've also been performing well, better than a lot of the historical funds through the ups and downs of COVID and everything. Those, I hold many of them myself. They have performed well, been less volatile. It's just that ours would be a blockchain-based version.
Okay.
And we can mint some stuff. I mean, we know how to mint things. We have partners there. If we can get from charities, from larger charities or whatever, you know, we want to bring things back to the stakers through our platform, through those platforms. They can just, you know, we can continue with Unwell. I mean, we need to use the existing stuff we have created initially. We don't want to restart things. So we need to rejig what we are using right now, the partners we have, and you know, offer them something new that is a bit more compelling, or compelling in terms of our stakers, because that's where we are falling short at the moment. We don't get growth. As we see it, we are creating a brand, we're doing stuff, and we're creating a brand because we're doing good and people give us some credit for that, but we're not seeing growth. We are just we are pooling our resources at the moment, and that's what we are seeing in terms of growth. We are creating new stuff, but in terms of growth of stake to our pools, we don't see that.
Well, we've gone from what, 10 pools to 25 pools. That's growth.
Yeah, but yes, in terms of number of pools, so we can set ourselves some KPIs where we are saying those things. We can sell it, but you know, personally, like look at Rick's pool, look at, you know, my pool after CF Cardano Foundation is gone. You know, I literally have to question: am I doing this? Is running a pool useful?
Look at Matt's pool, Eco, and look at Vio's pool. Vio's pool's gaining by about 1 million ADA per month right now, and Matt blew up. He was going to retire his pool, and then he blew up to 60 million, and he's held it there.
Yeah, but not because of the CNC ISPO, right?
Well, it's hard to gauge. I mean, Vio's pool has not been gaining stake simply because of the Teddy Swap ISPO.
Well, it's because of Carolina and her outreach, and
No, Vio, arm one.
Vio, sorry, Vio was because of I don't know exactly why his jumped, but it was I'm not sure. I mean, we are not engaging with him. He's not engaging with us too much, so he's offering the tokens, but I'm not quite sure if that has anything to do.
Anyway, we've seen some growth in some areas.
Yeah, I mean, we offer something more than others are offering. We definitely are doing good, and that's fine. But as I said, but we are not, because of our ISPO, we haven't seen growth of stake. We have had a few nice guys, people from Cardano for Climate and so on, who stake with us, but I don't see any growth. Do you see growth? I mean, the growth currently was Cardano Foundation support. And, but not much from the ISPO.
So,
correct.
Are we doing on time? Christian hasn't had his tea yet.
Well, I will probably have to run out.
I think we're out of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So on this one then so far, key learnings.
Yeah.
Key learnings for me is that I think we could do very, very well just by thinking carefully how to leverage what we already do and partnering and getting channels and using our existing experience and being able to simply present it in the right light and organize it in the right fashion so that we're not trying to build massive new foreign products, and we're not trying to always be chasing individual small delegators to build our pools, but just to think of it in a more comprehensive way to combine our experience, our knowledge, our capabilities into becoming this one sort of glue that ties everything together.
Fabulous. And Stephen?
Well, what Devin said.
No!
That's my part. That's my part, what I should say.
How many bloody times?
That's why I went first.
Yeah, usually it's Rick, but today it's Devin. Well, for me, it kind of clicked today. It went from like a fake notion of what would be possible or what direction we are heading in towards, let's say, actionable products that we could deploy, like Devin said, without reinventing the wheel, actually. Basically, expanding on what we are doing already and just finding the right channels and the right target, the right partners or clients. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Maybe let me, before as last person, I definitely don't know what to say. Yeah, nearly the same what Stephen said. Well, in general, I think, yes, there's nothing what we cannot build what is already kind of on the market, like token system, carbon token, whatever. But we can scale the expertise we already have and the network in the community and the name CNC already have, actually, and using that to scale. And who was it? I think Devin just said it, or Christian said it after Devin. We don't need 6 projects directly on the beginning or something. Maybe doing the second one or whatever, like 2 at the time, if we think it is possible. But using the system what we already used. The main goal, I guess, as someone who's not from the marketing, is really we have to talk more with partners and other projects, and using our name, as we most way often we are not doing it. That was one of the first lessons I learned with Harry here also. We don't care about what we stay in the focus or whatever, but maybe let's use that because CNC has a name, right? Already. And don't let us do 2 big steps, but one step more. It's not bad, I think. Yeah. Way general thoughts, I know.
Fabulous, thank you.
Yeah, so I was already drafting up the elevator pitch for that plan. So
Brilliant. I thought you were a bit quiet.
Yeah, I was typing away, got it all ready to go. No, it just shows how great it is if we can, spend that time and mull it over and use the resources we've gained so far and the lessons we've learned. It just shows once you're sort of in that state of mind, you sort of break the barriers that you usually been looking at, and you think outside of the box and come up with these sort of ideas. And there's obviously, I did take a note, I did remember what you said, is to be careful when you're sort of doing a new business. Just be aware that this is potentially that could morph into. So just understand what you're doing, the risk or the way you're approaching it, and make sure that you're aware that you address certain issues if you're doing that. Not to say that there's a bad idea, but just be conscious which way you're steering the ship. And yeah, I think it's a good idea, and it's good that we've had this exercise and pushing the envelope and thinking of new and better ways to do it. And again, also not to, as we all picked up on, is not to overexhaust ourselves and try and tackle everything. It's so important to use the channels that we have and to expand those channels and understand how we can utilize our skills and skill sets and the people in the ecosystem.
Fabulous.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to, not maybe a key learning. I think there were lots of in there already. So just the one point I'm thinking about not losing our individuality, because if we're working together, we're decentralized pools, we have to be a bit careful about still being that decentralized community, and we have to figure out how we want to communicate that in a good way and also bring it in line with our own personal kind of desires, like Rick's desire around permaculture, or some people are into tree planting, some other people here, John and so, about helping people more, etc. And maybe we need to find a way of, if we are selecting projects, that we distill a little bit what the core values of an individual pool are, so people are happy to work specifically on working out, because we will have to contact partner organizations, which we've done before. We have to do the vetting. We have to figure out how the transfers is going to work. This is what we did with Titicasa Ala. Just we're doing it again, and maybe a bit more structured or a bit more, but still we need the same people. We need our people. We need the input. We need the activity that we are still requiring, and that's going to be an additional thing there that we have to think about. But in general, I like the conversation. I mean, I do like the idea of kind of small project support. So and that's probably still in there somewhere. But clearly, it would be good if we can have a bit more structured focus on what the projects are, what kind of project we would like to work together on. And that's also the attractiveness for maybe stakeholder operators who want to join us. And we should probably also, because the key driver for us was always Cardano to become carbon neutral. So that whole notion, if people want to join us on those journeys, that they need to become run on renewables, for example, and obviously they will have to donate. So that's still the same parameters that we have right now. And if we can get people on board that want to delegate to groups like us, if we have that distilled a little bit better, then like Devin said, the buy-in from others might be quite easy if we are saying we have some stake there, and who would be, or actually we go around rather than saying, okay, so we're getting people that, oh, there's money there, let's go there. It's not really what we want. We want people that already care and do stuff and in the right direction. And maybe we select those pools from the Cardano blockchain already and say, look, I mean, what do you think you would be interested in helping this project because it's in line with what you're doing and stuff like that. So I don't know, there's a lot of networking in there. There is a lot of outreach in there and pitching, ideas, but we clearly can take the pitch that we have right now, actually the ISPO pitch that is now also used in the Sustainable ADA report, if we refine this a little bit, and what we actually did there, and point that out, and that's our service, isn't it? These are the bits. If we go to someone, look, this is what we're doing, and are you interested in supporting this stuff? And we give you that back, or what is it that you're interested in? What would make this work for you? What would make you invest into Cardano? What do you need from us? And then we find other stake pool operators who may be able to explain how the wallets work, others who, that just deliver those pieces. Right, yeah.
Wonderful.
That was a good product discussion. I mean, at the end, we have we're still with the same product, if you like, but we have added the consultancy part in. We haven't talked about the SIP, but I think that is a side project that we just do once things are working. We don't necessarily need a token, even though it seemed like an obvious idea we talked about. Carbon accounting is in the works on the side, but basically the ISPO model is still there, right? Just that we want to refine it. Consultancy is in there because we have to reach out to partners and have more of a communication there. And those are the key products kind of that we are combining here, I think, at the moment. And then education will be in there because we will have to explain this to people if we want to bring money in. So
that's why I sneaked that one in there for you.
Yeah, I know. You wanted it in there. Yes. No, I think that makes sense. So we have three things that kind of combine one, that make our general product offering better, and hopefully the next sort of step forward. So we just have to select, what we want to go for. And I mean, the question is, are we starting with the, what do we call this? The donors, not the donors, the stakers, our clients, or our suppliers, as we call them, right? Mm-hmm. Are we starting with the suppliers, or actually do the fun part and have a look around at what projects are out there? What could we get our teeth into? What can we buy into? What would make us happy? And then we find suppliers.
Yeah. So what we're doing now, Rick, is we're gently parking Christian into a siding. Yeah. He's ready for another half hour now.
Yeah.
Questions, which are brilliant, but yeah. And so Devin, that was lovely. Devin's gone to bed, you see. So,
no, I was first. I did the key learnings first.
Oh, I don't remember that bit. It was so interesting.
Yeah,
seriously, that is fabulous. I couldn't remember, to be honest, Devin, who said your bit, and it was you. Yeah, what I got out of today was, well, let's do this bit, just a question to wrap it up. So what's the most valuable thing in the CNC?
Our own energy, really.
Not your energy.
Our motivation, sort of.
No, you've got to own this. What's the most valuable thing in CNC?
I would say it's the combined will.
No.
Isn't it the impact we deliver?
No.
The impact we deliver.
No. See, this is what Abe, bless his cotton socks, said before we kicked off. Look, and we had it a few weeks ago, with John, but we just had it tonight with Devin. The amount of detail you guys have, understanding you have in these different areas is world class. Yeah. So do you remember when Rick was going through his permaculture? This stuff is, there's not that many people who get it at the level you guys get it at. Okay, there are professors and blah, blah, blahs, but generally, yeah, for what you would call normal people who aren't on a stipend from university, yeah, who aren't major millions in commerce and then spent 3 years just reading things, yeah, you guys have a level of understanding, experience, expertise in this area. And like Devin was doing tonight, not just one area, but several areas. And all we've done is just keep getting the stuff out of your brains and putting it on bits of paper. And you're, like you said, you have learned a new vocabulary, and there's a lot more to learn, but you have learned new frames to look at it. But basically, all the clever stuff is there. So between your understanding contextually of this stuff and your content understanding of specialist areas, it's a little consultancy. It's all your brilliance. It's when Christian was explaining things. All of you've done it. Your depth of understanding in a particular area is world class. Yeah.
I would argue that all the knowledge and experience in the world is no good if you don't have the will to do good with it. Use it for good.
That's the bit we're coming on to next, Evan. I was getting you to the core. What is the core of the value you guys add? Because it's nice to want to execute stuff, but if you don't know what you're talking about and don't have any expertise in that and no understanding and can't do the context and content, then you're a waste of time, because you'll pretty soon fluff up and people won't value you anymore with all the will in the world. So that's why I'd say you start from the foundations first, and then, like you've said, so when we hire people, it was always, and it's still, when we coach people on how to hire people, it's have they got the capacity, have they got the capability, and have they got the attitude, which you could call intent.
Mm.
And you guys have, you have less capacity than you'd like, perhaps, but you have the capability and you have the attitude, and you've proved that in spades. So like you guys have said, the learning, I would say, for you, and I find this hard and I still get stuck, is go up into your brilliance, go up into context. So you're not doing it. You're not being paid time for money. Like you said, you're not wasting yourselves, physically wasting yourselves by doing so much all the time. Gate back what you're doing and really get focused. And that's what this little chart's about. Get focused on where the energy should go. So the next bit on here, where it says criteria, you guys, your homework is to come up with, well, what will make you decide then? We're going to play the game and do the decisions next time, or not next time. We're going to do the decisions, you can do it in between times, on what criteria would you use to choose what choice you should make. So is it, again, speed to execute, difficulty, amount of impact, whatever. Choose some criteria to judge those products by, because they're the horses. And like you said, we're going to back 2 or 3 of them to start with, but you choose what the criteria is, stick them in there, and if you need more criteria, fine, and then fill that in for our next session. So I'm with you, Devin. Yeah, it's in my world, it's always about attitude, which is intent. So not the vision, which is the commercials, but the intent, which is the cultural vision. And it's all about, isn't it, actually putting rubber on the road. When you guys are here at 10, 11 o'clock at night, for some of you, and we're having this discussion, you've already done an hour. That shows attitude. That's intent, isn't it? That's will. And I totally get it. My thing is, though, you've got to have it, understand your capabilities first and focus the will. Otherwise, you run out of willpower. Yeah. So that was awesome for me tonight. It's really nice because we close loops as we go around this, and we closed a big loop tonight. And that was down to Christian asking for it and then you guys doing it.
Devin offering the solution.
Good job.
Yeah, well, you make the connections, don't you? This is what your super brains are about.
Yeah, David is the super brain, exactly.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all about unlocking it and getting it out of the heads of ours, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Just saved another 100 acres of forest as well. Hey,
This is what makes you feel better, isn't it? This is what makes me feel better.
Yeah.
So look, if you do that, I think we've then done the product bit. We just need to get these slides written up for phase one. What I'd like to do next week, is if we can have more of a partner conversation. Yeah, because I'd like your expertise on what should I be doing and what should Edify be doing with this stuff. Yeah, and what can we do together? And do you want to carry on doing stuff? And if you do, how do we make that viable, basically? And they're open questions. I don't know the answers, but I've really enjoyed working with you guys as well so far. I loved working with the cohort one guys too, and Neil and Amir have been fantastic. So I know there's a product or 3 or 4 in here, but this stuff, when you're in this impact space, for me that's really important, because it's not just commercial. Yeah, and I can see the leverage you guys have. And so like tonight, it's been very exciting for me, because this is my excited face. I can see it coming together, and I get, and like I said, if I can introduce you to any clients that I know, or any people I know where this works, I'm very happy to do that in the right way. My issue is, my question for you is, is that okay if we did that next session? If we did more of a bit of a review, but more of a partner session, so you can give me some advice, that would be really helpful. And if you want to carry on doing stuff, I'm more than happy to. I don't know how we make it work, but that'd be cool. I'd like to know, the stuff we've been through, if we change it again, can we get that out to SBOs? Can we actually make it a product that they would use and they would then benefit from? That'd be really cool. And sure. Is there, like you were saying about partnership, is there a way of using this stuff to help you get partners on board?
Yeah, for sure. That's very generous of you, Harry.
Yeah. And how we do it, I don't know. And how we get recompense for that, I don't know. But that's all these new business models, isn't it?
Yeah. And you've got a unique experience of having talked to so many SPOs already. That's a pretty unusual perspective to have.
Yeah, and it is. And I mean, so that's that. If we can do that next time, that'd be brilliant. And I suppose my closing comments for you guys is, it's still so early. We get all wrapped up in this. We get all so excited and have to have everything done by Wednesday. I'm going to go and talk to Cambridge people again soon. And like I said, I was talking to banking group today, and they're on this because they just bought SVP or SVB for $1 or whatever. And they're all jumping up and down, very excited. But they also know this is like years away, isn't it? When this happens, it will happen really, like you were saying, Devin, when this happens, it will happen really fast. Take up will be massive on carbon credits and stuff like that. But at the moment, the guys who are clever, they're backing away because it's just the Wild West and it's too complex and they could easily get stitched up. So they're holding off until the risk comes down. But they will do it. But it's also early still. So a bit like me at the moment, when I'm trying to flip our business and grow it, because I'm in the space of growing a business again, the issue is, how do we keep surviving? So how do you keep your SPO stuff going? And like you were saying, get it so you're actually making money out of your SPO. How do you get to that space that gives you the breathing space to be looking at this amazing stuff where you really will have a multiple of impact value? I think that's the challenge for all of us. How do we keep it going for a year or two and grow, so you're in the position to really leverage what you've created?
Yeah, let's talk about that next week.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
So thank you guys. Yeah, if you get a chance, have a look at the bit. It's on your web now, where we were today, and see if you can have a think about criteria you would use to decide which ones of those product / business / channel propositions you would like to take forward.
Yeah.
And then if you want, then vote on it. Yeah, then stick your stuff in there.
The one where we can see what you're sharing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm finding it. I log in again and have a look.
There you go. Look, it's in the ecosystem bit,
Ah, ecosystem. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Then I know where to go. Yeah.
which is the posh word to channel. I'm changing it all to biome now
Yeah, biome.
because again, you need to give me some coaching on that, Rick. But for me, that sort of aligns more with what we're trying to do actually than an ecosystem. I never liked ecosystem.
In general.
But, you know, I like the revamp and the multiverse anyway. That's a really nice. You find it's very flowy and feels natural to get around and move.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have not. I mean, that's something for next week. For you, if I would have known that, whereas that kind of matrix, everything what we have done in the past, even if I missed something, that on the end it will be like a matrix connected. I mean, I know it's